Hey yo, welcome back to the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. We're down J-Matt tonight, but producer Bernie's live with us, and it's going to be becoming more of a mainstay here on the show. So, fellas, how's everyone doing tonight? Good to see you.
Good to see you as
Happy
Fantastic
well.
for a
Hope you're doing
Monday.
rainy a
well.
rainy day.
Happy,
A
it's a
rainy
beautiful
day. I'm
rainy day,
gonna
isn't it?
Ugh,
und
I would disagree with that.
Well, as
undisclosed
far as rainy
location.
days go,
Yeah, I think we do want to touch on something here at the top of the episode. A
yes,
rainy day certainly leads into this. Kraz, there was some news that came out in Red Sox land today that's a little bit more on the serious note, so I'm going to hand it to you to take
yeah,
us away with an opening
definitely,
tip, which we haven't done in a long time. But the floor is yours, Sam.
definitely. So, there was a lot of things that I have said about Jarren Duran in the past and the way that he handles himself on and off the field. After the news that broke today about his suicide attempt, it just kind of puts things into perspective and you can kind of see where he's coming from. There's just a little blurb I'm going to get to really quick. It just says, I got to a point where I was sitting in my room. I had my rifle and I had a bullet and I pulled the trigger and the gun clicked, but nothing happened. So to this day, I just thank God just didn't let me take my own life because I seriously don't know why it didn't go off. I took it as a sign of I might have to be here for a reason. Um, it's you know these athletes today get a lot of criticism. They get a lot of jeering, and I don't really me being one person that has jeered athletes, in a good way. We have to realize that athletes are people at the end of the day. They have feelings. If anything, they're under more of a spotlight than we are. So I just want to really say hats off to Jarren Duran for coming out and saying that and being that descriptive about what actually happened. Because there's a big taboo on men and mental health, and I think that really needs to change, especially someone who suffers from chronic PTSD and some other things. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's something that needs to be brought to light a little bit more. And I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts. Again, if you are in a dark place, please call 988 for help. That's 988 FORHELP. And again, was kind of brought to the top after the news that broke today about Duran and the Netflix documentary episode. I believe that's being released tomorrow. He will be holding a press conference tomorrow to actually talk about it. So we'll hear a little bit more from his side. But I just wanted to personally, you know, not in, kind of take back some of the things in controversy, not controversies, but things that I said about him, and what he did and how he acted on the field because, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah, I have a quick thought here too, and like want to give big ups to him for like talking about what happened in the past, and just to give a little bit more context there, Sam. I think you did a great job describing of like what he said, but also want to make sure like viewers know that and listeners know that this was not something that happened like today, yesterday,
Yes,
recently. It
yes.
was it was in
2022.
2022, so it was roughly 3 years ago. So I don't want people to like start thinking that like, hey, this happened like a week ago or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I do want to just dispel one thing too that you had mentioned is kind of like, I don't take back anything that I said about him because at the same time too, like you can't be going out and saying what he said last year in that setting as a public person. But that doesn't mean that like those people don't have feelings and they don't like make mistakes. So um, big ups to him for just coming up and being honest about what's happened in his past and you know how he's trying to use this as a way to spark awareness and use his own story to at the end of the day if this saves one person it is worth it. So just want to give big props to him for just doing what he did. And again, it's not easy to bare your soul like this, especially that's something like you said, there is a stigma about mental health in men and not being strong and you know putting himself out there. So again, major kudos to Duran. And yeah, hopefully he's gotten the help that he needs to be in a much better place. So that's my big takeaway.
Good. That's got
Welcome.
the slogan of Duran, I think that he sort
Welcome.
of lives by. Gabe, do you want to chime in at all?
No, I mean, I think the you guys said it beautifully. I had a little bit more of a controversial take, but I didn't realize that this had happened before his yelling into the crowd and that controversy. So I don't think this is an image building thing. I now fully believe that he is telling the truth, and I hope he's telling the truth. But it's great for him to put it out there, especially on Netflix. Such a wide, range of people are going to watch this show, and certainly a lot of men are going to watch this show. And I hope that they see that, it's okay to open up and talk about your feelings, and not feel like someone's going to judge you for that. And that's the biggest thing. You have to be comfortable with yourself and love yourself before you love anybody else. So, um, yeah, kudos to Duran here for coming out with this.
Yeah, like everyone said it beautifully. I'm not gonna sprinkle anything more on it other than trust your loved ones, be in touch with the people that make you feel happy and those that are around you, support and uplift you. And a serious topic here. Appreciate Sam bringing this to the forefront tonight. But with that being said, there is a fun show to do here and a lot of great things that we have to talk about tonight, where we're going to turn the page on to. I'm going to make an executive decision here because I think starting Red Sox in this topic that we should stay Red Sox because the Red Sox, after a very interesting first week and not looking so hot, have completely turned things around. Kraz is doing a little bop and dance up in the corner about that. And Kraz, why don't you take it away? Just let's sort of like try and go with the Sox this year because last summer we really weren't doing like games and whatnot, like series by series. What were the themes and takeaways from the series overall? Any big moments and try and do it that way. So Kraz, take it away just in terms of obviously the St. Louis series and then anything else we need to touch on.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So, like, let's start at the beginning. I know we kind of already talked about the beginning of the season, but they kind of, the big hog went out there, did his thing first game. They went 1-4, lost that last three games of the series rather. And then they went to Baltimore. They lost another game and I believe another. And it was like, oh shit, what's going on here? What's going on with this team? And they kind of pulled things back together. It started with what we needed, the big hog coming in every 5 days, going out, pitching 8 innings, striking out eight, one walk, is no earned runs. I mean, you can't ask for anything more. And then, in a typical fashion, Devers ended his 0 for 20 whatever streak with a double. And he just had, the biggest smile on his face. And that's kind of what you want to see because this team is a team that is a really fun-loving team and one to enjoy watching when all cylinders are kind of on a go. Um, uh, Again, then we kind of go to the game against the Orioles. We won 8-4 there. Christian Campbell again, just kind of this is what I call the game of the back-to-back-to-back two-run home runs where we have Tristan Casas, Bregman, and Campbell all going yard. Um, really like to see that. Like I said, it's the beginning of the season, so it's really tough to judge where everything is. What's that?
No, I was gonna say like let's get takes on anything else from the Baltimore series. Like I think everything you said there in terms of what they did is unbelievable. Crochet was like that was an unbelievable performance when you needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No, I just also wanted to mention before I think these games happened, the Red Sox did sign. They locked up Garrett Crochet to a
Mhm.
6-year, $170 million extension, and then he puts out that performance, and it's like, man, that's a good looking contract right there. If he continues to go out and do that, so that was one big takeaway for me in that series, and then also just seeing Devers kind of start getting the bat going. I mean, we'll touch on it. Sam, I'm sure you'll touch on this later, but he's swinging a hot bat now, and I think this series is kind of the start of it. So, uh,
See, see.
fuego.
Anybody hear
No more, no.
Dave O'Brien say that Devers is swinging the shillelagh now?
I did hear that yesterday.
That
He's
was
swinging the shillelagh.
He's swinging that shillelagh around. He definitely is. All right, swing the shillelagh on over to the St. Louis
Home
series
opener,
opening home opener, and then a
opening
couple
day,
of nice
opening
wins
day.
yesterday in the
Great
doubleheader.
series.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the opening day they did a celebration of, I hope I don't get this wrong. I think it was a
75 team.
75 team. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
75 team. And that Carlton Fisk famous home run at midnight. They did that. Walker Bueller made his debut. Devers kept going 4 for 4. I mean, that's what you want to see. Obviously, it was just you can tell by the score, it was just a complete kind of throttling from the get-go. The Sox kind of just kept pouring it on. I believe they put 5 up in the first inning and then kind of just didn't look back from there. Then you get to the next day. We're supposed to have a game. It's getting rainy. It's getting dreary like it is out right now. So that gets postponed. So we get a doubleheader. Uh, Everyone knows what happens with doubleheaders. They're a complete wild card. Typically you're gonna lose one, but I mean we had one in walk off fashion, and when we had one that was just a beat down. Willer Abreu again, son of a bitch, 25-year-old young son of a bitch, you did it again. I mean he was sick. He wasn't even supposed to play that game, and he came off and walked it off. Uh, uh,
Shall we
Chapman throwing
say
101.
untouchable?
Oh my God! Right now at this point, I don't know what he's batting, like 500 or something.
500.
It'll obviously kind of plateau and come down to
Yeah.
earth, as all numbers do.
Nope.
But
Best hitter all time.
ever,
Temp Gators
MVP.
406 club.
AL
Watch out.
MVP.
but
Oh, sorry,
483. Yep.
sorry. We have a
43.
little
Thank you,
correction here.
Bernstein.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bernstein.
Bernie's coming in here making sure
Games,
that don't give
games,
them any
games
more
going
points than
on.
they
So we
deserve.
must
He's
have.
in 483, so he's a tad below 500. Still pretty good though.
Yeah,
Still
what's
pretty
Aaron
good.
Judge hitting? Why don't you go look that up?
He's,
I'll get on that now. I'll get on
All
that.
right, thanks.
but to
We'll give
see
you a New
Chapman.
York minute. Don't worry.
I, we're gonna see. Let's face it, we're gonna see Chapman blow some games this year. All closers do this. It's gonna happen. But to see him, throw 101 and just kind of stare him down. I mean, it was that was great to see. Liam Hendricks obviously is going to be coming back soon. He's, I believe, going to be our actual closer, and then we also have Garrett Whitlock too to hold down that 7-8 long spot.
Yeah.
So I mean, the bullpen's looking pretty decent as so long as it holds up. Um, Clearly at the trade deadline, if this team's going to keep going the way that it's going, they're going to have to buy for some bullpen help. I don't see the need for a bat at this point. Clearly, everyone's kind of swinging on all cylinders. We have people down in the minors room, and Anthony, his first game in AAA, I think he homered twice. So, I mean, I don't think we're in any dire need for a bat. So I really think the bullpen is really what's going to be the tell-all for this team. Um, we have the depth as far as starting pitching goes, so I'm not really too concerned about that. As as the season goes, we'll see how these guys do. Once guys get back from injury, we have Lucas Giolito, who's an ace. And then Patrick Sandoval will also be getting back and at mid-year, so that's going to be great. And then we'll get to the last game, which would be the win versus St. Louis, 18-7, an absolute slugfest. Devers had six. I mean, Bregman had 6 RBI, and Devers also had a game. This
AL
is
Player of the Week.
this is
Bregman.
this is what I envision this team doing.
The
Do I
nose.
think they're going to be winning 18-2 or 18-5 every single time? No, but I envision this team being able to pass the baton and not just swing for the fences like they did last year. So that's a relief to see that they're a lot more disciplined at the plate.
Yeah, they've been fun the past week and have completely turned it around. I think people have settled into their roles. Everyone has gotten their timing and sort of major league legs under them, if you will. So, look, they should be a team that's in contention to win the AL East and to go on a run in the playoffs. It's fun to have a baseball team to look forward to watching their games night in and night out, and especially nights where Crochet is pitching, you feel like it's appointment television almost. So it's been a fun start to the season after a shitty first week. That's sort of baseball, right? Like every week can sort of dictate the narrative of the team. And I think that there's help on the way, as you said, Sam, with the pitching, Crawford, Bayo, Giolito, all coming back into the ranks, and that just lengthens everything out for this team as they move forward. Tonight they're going up against the Blue Jays in a game. Quinn Priester did get traded today to Milwaukee, so he's off the squad. And so the season continues on here for the Sox.
Another left-handed bat, boys. But we got
Yeah.
Craig Breslow fleeced Milwaukee for their number 7 top prospect. So a good deal. They needed help as far as pitching goes. Quinn Priester was our like 10th guy to be, as far as a starter goes. So not a bad trade. We're not losing a lot right there, and we're gaining, if anything, trade bait.
Yeah,
Do you
no doubt.
uh do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that happened off the field this week that were some pretty notable news? I think we were ragging on the Sox even in the off season before they signed Bregman about their unwillingness to spend money, and I think they spent some money this past week. So, Sam, you want to talk a little bit about some of those signings?
Dude,
Yeah, I
Gabe
did.
already brought
I
this
I
up.
I,
Oh,
I was
oh, I'm
wait.
sorry.
You just stole my spotlight. I was just about to say, if you go back about 10 minutes, Gabe kind of got. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Gabe
I
covered
only
that.
touched on one. only touched on one
Yeah,
of
he
them.
only touched on one.
Yeah,
There was another one. So
Okay,
Chris,
so
no, the
Campbell, well,
Campbell,
Christian Campbell also got signed
Soup
up.
Boy.
I believe his was
can't not talk about Christian
8
Campbell.
years, 80
Yeah.
million. This is a win-win for both parties involved. This kid's young, so he's gonna have a brand new opportunity to hit the market if he wants at the age or prime age, I should say, of 30, where he can go out and commend himself what he deems himself to be valued as. If the Red Sox, again, now that I'm getting more into the nitty-gritty of it, I'm starting to learn more of the business aspect of this whole sports thing and realize that it's really, as much as I hated Mookie Betts leaving, it was, well, not even Mookie Betts, but just players in the past. It's just what an organization might deem as far as value for a player, another organization might deem as being worthy of more of an investment than said initial team. So it's a win-win for both.
I think like we were all like disappointed that Soto didn't come here. There was an offer. I think,
I think
we
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 were
all I think
more.
everyone that's on this podcast wanted Soto on their team.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
no, just wait.
I think it
Can you
was
let me
the
finish?
argument.
Can you let me finish?
I'll let you
So my
finish.
my 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 thing here was that we all wanted Soto, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of money to dedicate to one player. Where if you bring in more players and spread that money around, are you a better team for doing that? And I think this is proving exactly why it probably was the right decision to not spend all the money on Soto, right? And I think that was just my big point there. Like that was just going to be like, hey, like it's great to put all your eggs in one basket, but it's also better to spread it around as well. So
So
that was my thought.
yeah, so a quick rebuff on that. I think we were just all excited at the fact that they were in the hunt to spend over $500 million on a player. Um, Realistically, did I want Juan Soto in the outfield? I mean, he's a generational talent, of course, but the logjam would have been insane. You have Jarren Duran, you have Willie Abreu, who's batting out of his mind, you have Roman Anthony down in the minors, and then you have all these other guys too as well. So I think it was more of the idea of, holy shit, this team's actually willing to fucking spend half a billion dollars on a fucking player. That's fucking wild. But you're right. I think that they were better off spending that money on multiple players and filling multiple gaps as opposed to just getting one guy who's got really shitty defense.
Yeah.
They definitely have taken out the checkbook and waved it around and said, "Look, we still have money." So kudos to John Henry, full serve. The ice cream machine
Just,
is full right now.
just,
Like
just,
sprinkle
just don't
Sunday
sit there.
bar,
He's
Don't
getting a
sit there
all,
twist.
smoking.
He's
Don't
getting a
sit there
twist.
smoking a
Swiss,
cigar and have
large, whatever you want.
Linda or
So
Yeah.
whatever her
He's got the
name
helmet.
taking
He's got the helmet.
taking a
He's getting
picture
served with
of
the
it.
helmet and everything, getting all
that's
the
right.
sprinkles, the
He's
rainbow
got like
sprinkles.
he's got like a actual helmet, not those kid-sized ones. He eats
No,
the
no, no,
big
no, no.
balls. So
He's got a big league helmet full of soft
He
serve right
took
now.
he took Christian Campbell's helmet.
yeah, I did. All right, fellas, good stuff on the Sox there. Just did a lot there in terms of the serious situation to start things off, obviously, and that documentary from Netflix sort of comes out over the course of the next couple weeks as well. So let's keep the bus moving though, because there was an epic Final Four that took place in San Antonio over the weekend and Saturday, and we have a game that we need to move our pace here so that we don't look like Duke at the end of the game not being able to do anything.
Oof.
So let's recap it. Let's talk Florida and Auburn first. Sort of set the table there, and then we'll go into the other game. But Florida and Auburn, great. Both games are spectacular, close games, and Florida just really separated at the end. Clayton is a fucking animal. He reminds me of Shabazz Napier and Kemba Walker,
Saw
UConn-esque
that.
as guards just taking over games. But takeaways from Florida ending up taking down Auburn and Bruce Pearl and heading into the finals this evening.
Thought that
So
was a
yeah,
neck and neck game. Like I thought it was like
yeah,
back and forth the entire time. Like I think that the big difference between the two games was Florida and Auburn were like literally with each other the entire way versus Houston and Duke was a very different type of game that ended up being close that wasn't as close for most of the game. But what a awesome Final Four. Probably the best I can remember.
that wasn't a six
Undoubtedly.
point game. I mean, it's 6 points here because they won 79-73, but
It was close.
it was way closer than that and one of the more competitive games that I've seen. Johnny Broom is a fucking monster.
He's a
That kid
beast.
is going to make a lot of noise in the NBA.
He played with one arm.
He's a low
Yeah,
down banger and he's a G. That's all I gotta say. And there haven't been a lot of guys like that in the league. Um, since like Boogie Cousins, and I'm not comparing him to Boogie Cousins in the way that Boogie Cousins was a center. I'm talking about attitude. This kid's just got it. I love the kid's attitude. Myself personally, that's why I had Auburn going all the way. But
If he's
it's
anything
fun.
like Boogie Cousins, like he's doing really well for himself. Boogie Cousins was a force when he came into the league.
Comparison of attitude,
No,
not
I know.
actual talent.
But that attitude is good. Like, you need players that have that attitude
That
to
Tony Allen, that like Kevin Garnett,
you need that swag. That
that old
swag.
school, I'm gonna get in your face, mm, like that's what the NBA is missing. It's all a bunch of prima donnas, and they need someone they need an OG back in there. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, they need an
There's a couple of
OG.
OGs in the NBA. We'll talk NBA in a
Yeah.
little bit. Gabe, any takeaways from that first game, or you can talk about the Duke game, whatever. We can get into that as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, I might have to back up a little bit to do this, but we'll do a little Gator chomp here, a little
You
Gator
got it.
chomping. That game was excellent. I'm pretty sure JMatt called the game with like 5 minutes into it. I think he was like, "Oh, Auburn's winning this," and
He
I'm
did.
very happy that the game played out the rest of the 35 minutes and Florida came out on top. I do have them as my champion this year, so we're rolling on here, rolling on to Houston.
Gabe's
You and
still
Al
going.
Horford.
Gabe's alive, baby.
Florida, yeah, Florida, great like team all year long. Clayton obviously is the engine behind it. And then let's obviously talk here, Houston and Duke, where I do agree that Duke was really in control for most of this game. And then they just I said I was with another buddy Eric watching this game. I said to him at the time, that is a 28-3 level of shit down your
Yeah.
pants from Duke. And credit to Houston because they kept themselves in it and made winning plays to do so. Calvin Sampson is a fucking animal. But what a choke. Like I don't think I'm sorry, but Duke lost that game. Houston more so than Houston won it, in my opinion. So
Agree for sure.
thoughts on that game. And what was probably, I agree, Biggie, one of the best Final Fours to ever be played, certainly in recent memory.
Probably the best comeback in Final Four history. Like, I don't think you could have wrote a better script. I mean, think about it. We had four number one seeds end up in the Final Four, and it delivered on all facets. I mean, I really think that the NCAA has to be jumping for joy right now, just kind of thinking about how well this
Charlie
Final Four
Baker.
went. What?
Charlie Baker, president of the
That's
NCAA,
right.
former
Former
governor,
governor of Massachusetts. Shout out to
jumped in the
Charlie
Charles
Baker.
River.
Yeah, shout out to him. In general, though, like I mean, I do feel a little upset for Bruce Pearl. I think that dude is a fantastic coach. He hasn't been able to break through, and he's been, consistently, you know, going to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16 for a long time. So I was roughly pulling a little bit for him because I did want to see him make that next level. But also on the same token too, Kelvin Sampson right there with him. He's also been on the precipice for a long time, and I think the final matchup that we have is also a really good one. You have one program that is historic and has won a number of championships in the past in Florida, and then you have another program, Houston, that's been a pretty good program for a long time, but has never broken through. So I think the big story about the game that's about to happen tonight is Florida going to continue to add another one to their trophy case, or is Houston going to finally be that team that finally breaks through and wins it for that university. So I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm leaning a little bit towards Florida, but after the way Houston played against Duke, while I do think Duke did choke, Houston did have to hit the shots that they had to hit in order to win that game. So I certainly don't want to take anything away from them.
Yeah, as Bernie just said, Houston trailed by 14 points with under 8 minutes to play. Hey, hell, they trailed by 6 points with like 18 seconds to play and pulled it off. So incredible comeback, but Duke just doesn't score for 10 and a half minutes. It was completely cold. That Proctor guy, the fact that he's getting the ball to shoot those free throws at the end of the game when he just sucks at the line.
Wild.
This will be a throw.
Do you guys
Just one
hate Duke?
throwback. Go ahead, Gabe. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but do you guys hate Duke as much as I do, or is that just something that was instilled in me as like a young
No,
child?
the Duke hate. I hated Duke, but this Duke team in particular was hard to hate. Like I think we all had an affinity for Cooper Flag, obviously being a New England kid.
Yep.
Nipple.
Nipple would like be the guy that you would want to hate, but he has such a ridiculous last name that you can't.
Reminds me of
I
Erky.
love him.
And then you
Yeah,
had,
right. I know.
And the head
Everyone
coach.
thought that was his last.
I got to talk about Maluak though, because this kid really boned him. 7'2" center who played for Senegal in the Olympics and 0 rebounds. Hassan Martin 2017 versus Oregon performance for Maluak in this game. Just completely shit the bed. And like I just have never seen a team. I had Duke 4.5, and I'm just sitting there in disbelief that they just couldn't hit a shot for the life of them at the end of that game. So, Bernie, any quick thoughts from the Final Four of the weekend that was?
No, I think you guys touched on it. I think it was probably one of the more entertaining Final Fours. And I was pretty disappointed when it came out, obviously, for number one seeds. I like the chaos. I like the upsets and the Cinderella stories. But I think in the age of NIL and the transfer portal, you're just going to see the best players go to the best programs. So I think it definitely lived up to the hype. And I'm really looking forward to this game tonight. I predicted Florida over Houston. So I'm currently leading my bracket pool. But I'm
Let's
going
go,
up
Bernie.
against the one person who picked Houston. So I need Florida tonight, but
Oh man,
Houston was very impressive, and I do like Kelvin Sampson a
He's
lot.
a tribe
It's gonna be a
member.
great matchup.
Right.
Let's
That's
get
right.
that
We got
trophy
to
to
root for the
Israel,
tribe.
baby. Let's get that trophy to Israel.
We
Exactly.
had a great opportunity for a full
I
tribe
know.
I
finals.
know.
I was texting Gabe
Duke
about
just
Bruce.
they gave it up. Come on, Duke.
Just completely choked it away. This Final Four will be undoubtedly remembered as in this tournament, I think, as the one where Duke shit the bed versus Houston. Like I think that is a defining moment for this tournament, and we finally got it. And I think like I agree, Bernie. I like the chaos, but to get that in the Final Four when it's all on the line, like nothing better. So
When was the last time that
Final
happened?
Four. Great night
I
tonight.
think I want to say it was '08. This is the second
Yeah,
time. I know it's the
I was
second
gonna
time in
say
history.
08, 98,
Yeah.
88, something like that. Yeah.
This is the second
mean,
time in
that's-
history
that's
that's
kinda
all
cool.
four number ones.
So,
Well-
and on the other side, we gotta touch on this because the women had their Final Four over the weekend, and then the championship game yesterday. And UConn just completely mollywops, puts a beat down on South
Dominant.
Carolina, and Dawn Staley
Bring them back to
swearing up
New
and
Is that
England.
12?
swearing up and down the
please.
side.
Bring 'em
12
back to New
championships for
England.
UConn women's
12
basketball.
For
championships.
Geno
Gabe,
Auriema.
run us into the women's championship game. Did you have eyes on it?
So I did have eyes on it. It was over before it started, I think. Like everybody knew UConn was winning this game. Like Paige Buchers was that girl who just couldn't break through, and she had the injuries, and you just had the feeling like UConn was gonna pull this one out. I didn't think it was gonna be an 82-59 final, but hey, kudos to UConn. I mean, that's the third. I know we're not counting men's and women's, but like that men's had 2 in a row, and then you get the women's this year. I mean, UConn's a staple of college basketball, and if anyone says otherwise, I mean, you're just kind of
They're just haters.
yeah, you're
Haters.
just a hater.
It
I
is
think
the
that's the
most
only
blue
thing-
blood
oh.
program out there now these days. Like I think everyone historically would say, "Oh, Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina." They all can't even come close to UConn, whether it's men or women's, right? So
It's like you
just
think
gotta-
of John
just-
Wooden, right? Like John
just-
Wooden with UCLA.
Exactly. Yep. You got to put some
Yeah.
respect on their names. I do have a thought though about South Carolina, and like not to take anything away from UConn and the dominance they had and Paige Buchers, like give South Carolina a ton of credit. That team that
Yeah.
went to that won the championship last year was filthy, and they lost a ton of players, and they
Yeah.
still were able to make it back to the finals. yeah, like they ran up against the buzzsaw, but like Dawn Staley is a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
And like you want to, I could see her making the jump to the NBA at some point if she really decides that that's something that she wants to do. She has coached in the NBA as an assistant, and I think it's only a matter of time before there is a woman head coach in the NBA. The men are going to listen to a woman, especially if it's someone who is going to put them in a position to win. And I just have a ton of respect for her. So I just would be remiss to not at least shout her out for her team's performance this year.
No doubt. Geno Auriema, in my opinion, is on the Mount Rushmore of basketball coaches, men's and women's. I think what he's
Yep.
done
Yep.
and the prominence that he's brought to women's basketball for decades at this point, and what he's accomplished over his career is just
Who
there's
else is on the Mount
nobody
Rushmore? You can't bring up a
from.
Mount Rushmore and not talk about other people.
I mean, if we're talking about basketball, all-time
Red.
coaches,
Dan
Red.
Hurley.
Red is undoubtedly up there. Geno
Oh, I thought we were just
Auriema.
talking
top.
college. I thought we were just talking
Yeah,
college.
I thought
John
college.
Wooden.
College.
John Wooden.
John Wooden, right?
What
John Wooden's
John
going to be up
Wooden.
there.
Wooden,
He's number
Auriema,
one.
Pat Summit.
Coach
Pat
K,
Summit,
and
100%.
who's
Pat
who's
Summit.
the Dean Dome, Dean Williams.
Oh yeah, yeah.
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 Dick Vitale
So
as a
that's
broadcaster.
yeah. So
Dickie V.
that's for me. David Cox.
David
Yeah, he
Cox.
fucking. I was about to say something I shouldn't, so I'm not
Archie
gonna.
Miller.
No, but you did have a good point, Bernie, in terms of lots of three players on UConn scoring 62 of their points.
That's
Strong,
wild.
Fuzz, and Beckers.
That's
So
wild.
congrats to UConn, capital of the college basketball world. We're gonna take our basketball world to the NBA now, where the Celtics, with just a few games here before the playoffs get started, continue to roll for the most part. A little bump in the road, but a lot of players out versus Miami. Big East set it up in the week that was for the Celtics and
Take us
everything
away.
that happened.
Yeah, Celtics had 4 games last week. They wrapped up a perfect road trip with being 6-0. And yeah, really interesting week. Like I don't really think there's a lot to talk about right now as far as the actual games themselves. They are just trying to get to the postseason, be healthy, and make sure that everyone is getting there. They went 3-1. They did drop a game against Miami, and at the end of the day, I think I actually like the loss, and so who else liked that loss? Joe Mazzulla liked that loss. He said, "You want to know what? It felt good to be reminded what losing feels like." Everyone was pissed off. The assistant coaches were pissed. He said that he relished that opportunity to make sure everyone understood what that feeling feels
Joe.
like. Because you want to know what? They're not going to go undefeated in the playoffs. We all think that they're a team that is going to go hopefully to the finals and hopefully win the whole thing. But they're gonna face some challenges along the way. So it's unrealistic to think that they were going to run the table to end the season. And they're sitting here right now at 58-20 with 4 games remaining to go. Very good chance for them to hit 60 wins, which is a pretty big deal in my opinion. So I just think in general, like the team is still rolling. Everyone is kind of doing their own thing. I think some notable things that did happen this week though is Porzingis got a little gash on the nose, but
Yeah.
as he was walking out to the locker room, did the little Conor McGregor swag walk. So he's okay. No one fret about Porzingis. We got to keep him healthy, keep him in the bubble as long as possible. And then
Bubble
would
wrap
also love to
that
give a
man
shout out to. I think honestly, this dude has turned out to be one of my favorite players in the squad. But Luke Cornett, just
Yeah.
dude is yeah. Where are my doggies at? Woo, 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 woo. We love Luke Cornett. Like I can't think of another player that has like made such large strides in a season, and not even in a season. I would say even since like the beginning of the year, since January. Because I would say even earlier in the season, I think we were all talking about Keita and what a surprise he's been. Keita's taken a back seat. Luke
Mhm.
Cornett is going to win us a game in the playoffs. You can book that right now. So when that does happen, we're going to play this clip back up, and I'm going to be like, "Hey, you want what? I told you, Luke Cornett was going to win us a game."
I'll tell you about Luke Cornett. You can count to 3 with Big E. He can commissioner shit. I mean, he's got whatever you fucking need, boys and girls.
You can
Whatever
count
you
to
need.
3.
Big E, I think.
Go, kid.
Only 3
Sorry.
though.
One thing that you did not touch on, the Celtics are now 32-7 on the road. They're actually coming very close. They're 2 wins away from tying the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors single season road record. So that in itself is super impressive. People keep asking me like, "Oh, you think the Celtics are gonna catch up to the Cavaliers. They could try to get that one spot, and it's like,
Don't
listen,
need it.
there's 4 games left. Like they're not getting it. They play great basketball on the road. They are able to tune everything out and just focus on what's important, and that's getting the W. Um,
Is it weird
and I,
that we'd almost prefer them to play on the road for
yeah,
some of these games because they
like
tend to play
let's go to
better?
Cleveland. Let's like if we have to go to Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals, like that does not strike fear into my heart. I don't know about you guys, but that does not seem like a tough task for them to pull off.
Yeah.
My crush Luke Cornett, just shout out to Bernie here for some stats. Over his last 10 games, 9.7 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and shooting 72.7% from the field. Where are my doggies at?
He's almost a walking double-double, that man.
I mean, he's quickly ascended to one of the best backup centers in the league. Like, and he's played a lot of starting minutes with the rotation that they've had here down the stretch. So Fournette's been awesome.
Shout out to Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens
Yeah.
saw this guy when he was an unknown, back end of, I think he was on the Knicks roster at the time and was not
Yeah.
getting any
Right,
play,
Bernie?
and said, "Hey, I need
Kevin
to
Knox.
grab this guy." He looked at the analytics and said, "This guy can play," and you know what? He can.
Sure
Pretty
can.
sure
He's been a
Sam Pretty sure Sam Hauser made a mention that he wants the whole garden to start barking when Cornette starts going off.
I would love to. I would love to be there.
Oblige for sure.
That's gonna
I would love
happen.
to.
It is so gonna happen.
I
I'll
can't
be
wait.
boots on the ground
Who
for
let the
both
dogs
Charlotte
out?
games to end, so I will be barking for sure.
Are you
Excellent stuff on the
are you gonna
C's.
be with
They need to play
with
that
a certain
song.
someone down there?
Who let the dogs out?
So, I hope so. I really do hope he can make the trip up. I mean, you never know. Guy's got a lot of things going on. Just opened up $100 million practice facility, I saw though.
Oh, just a
So
couple?
just just fucking
Just a few
ridiculous.
things?
Knowing where Charlotte stands at this point of the season, I'm gonna venture a guess that this probably isn't in the cards. Although, he could like take over a full section of the balcony with the amount of people that would want to ask him to go. So, if you like put things together, you can figure out who the person we're talking about is in terms of things. Just use your brain. You're gonna have to turn it on for a second, but two
Do
last
some
games of the season
deducing.
versus the same team is a good place to start. Okay. And there's some NBA like
They
subtweeting
play
or
they
subliminal
play
messaging.
Bernie's Knicks
They
tomorrow.
do.
Yeah.
That's probably the last real game of the season.
Is Brunson gonna
Bernie,
play?
good.
Brunson is back. He returned last night.
Good. Good. I like
And
Brunson. I want to see him play because I don't want the Knicks to have these injury concerns like they had last year and have those excuses.
Yeah, it was frustrating seeing like the entire rotation out. I mean, granted they don't have no depth this year, but at least having healthy players. Last week I think it was, or 2 weeks ago, they had all three of their point guards injured: Brunson, Deuce McBride, and Campaign. So we had to start DeLon Wright, who we traded Jericho Sims to the Milwaukee Bucks, and he was the return package. So it's nice to have Brunson back.
Listen, I think it's great for the NBA to have the Celtics and the Knicks be two of the premier teams in the East right now. So, would it be fantastic if we met somewhere in the Eastern Conference Finals and say Cleveland, get out of here? I certainly would
I'd root
enjoy
for it.
that. I
Sure.
would certainly enjoy that. I think the NBA would root for that too.
Yep.
You know who's not a premier team at all?
Who?
Great segue.
Gabe knows. He doesn't want to go there though.
I'm like, oh,
Gail Troyane may
Things
or
can
may not go.
change.
yeah.
But yeah, okay, that's true. That would be her outlook, I would say. Any final Celtics thoughts, fellas? Otherwise, we can move on to the team that has been officially eliminated from postseason contention for the first
One
time.
last take. Did
in a
anyone hear
decade.
Joe Mazzulla and the whole? I think Chris Forsberg was asking everyone, "Oh, if we were to have a movie, who would you want to play you?" And Joe Mazzulla was just like, "I wouldn't want anyone to waste a minute of their time on that." Did anyone see that? Or was
His
I- was
his
I the only one who
interviews
saw that?
are his deadpan is so good.
He's
He
one
is
of
just
one.
like he really is one of one.
Yeah,
But yeah, I had that out
yeah.
there.
Joe, from the highs of Joe Mazzulla and the entertainment of him to the continued lows of the Bruins. And Gabe, give us the rundown where we're at. Obviously, the games on the ice are somewhat secondary. There is some other NHL news we should talk about as well.
Absolutely. We'll touch on the Bruins a little bit here. They go 1-3 over the last week since we last had our podcast. They did snap a 10-game losing streak against the Carolina Hurricanes. David Pastrnak just accounted for all 5 goals. He's having a great season. A few other players in the organization are playing well. Jeremy Swayman finally recorded his 100th win, his 100th career win. I think it took him the whole month of March to do it. But yeah, the Bruins are slogging along. I think they're still in that top 5 pick range right now, and there's some great players in the draft this year that they could potentially be able to get. So that's kind of exciting in my eyes. But the thing that we alluded to here is the Bruins did play the Washington Capitals. Alex Ovechkin, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him. He is on the Washington Capitals, and he scores a lot of goals.
How many goals, Gabe? How many goals has he scored?
The man broke Wayne fucking Gretzky's record for most goals. Like, that is the most insane thing that, like, I still can't really process it. Like, Alex Ovechkin now has 895 career goals. Wayne Gretzky is a standout guy. He was there through all of it. He wanted to see Alex Ovechkin break the record. He wanted to see him succeed, and said himself it felt like he scored the goal that broke his record. So that's something that's really unique in hockey that doesn't get talked a lot about. I think NHL players it's such a close-knit community. They just all want to see each other succeed, even if it means that they're going to get kind of booted from the record book. But no one will ever forget Wayne Gretzky. That is an incredible feat for anyone to do it. It just reminds me of, like, kind of when Barry Bonds broke Hank Aaron's record, or for most home runs, and just incredible feats that you don't get to see every day. Yeah.
Well, we
That's
gotta
wild.
give credit to LeBron as well with the points if we're going to go there. I mean, I think that's one of the most impressive things. But in terms of this, the moment, and I think Gabe harkening on that for a second, like, the entire Islanders arena exploded as if it was a goal for their own team. Like, that was one of the coolest things that I think I've ever seen. The end of the game, before it, where he scored the 2 goals to tie it. I forget who they played, but that entire team stayed on the ice to shake his hand. A lot of handshakes at the end of games this year.
Yeah.
Him,
A lot of respect,
Fleury.
man.
Yeah,
I love
Ovechkin's
that.
been leading
Yeah.
a bunch of them too. So I
I
mean,
love that.
what is classic
So-
dude on his side.
That needs to come back.
Two quick thoughts here. Just a immense respect for Ovechkin. He did this in one less game than Gretzky did, which I think, like, that in itself is insane. I think everyone thought that Gretzky's record would never be broken, and if it were to be broken, someone was going to have to play till, like, they were like 43 in order to break it. And Ovechkin is 39, missed like 16 games with a broken leg, and is 5th in the NHL in scoring this year. Just, like, what an animal.
People forget that.
Another thing that I'd also like to call out on this too is Ovechkin. They gave him the opportunity to try and go in and potentially get an empty netter, and he said, "No, I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to break the record that way." Like, immense respect for, like, wanting to play and wanting to get a goal, like, the legit way, and not just get an empty netter to get the record. Like, to me, that's like a way of cheating it. And then, as you alluded to, Wayne Gretzky, just what a great dude. And, like, he was even saying that his dad said to him, because Gordie Howe was, in attendance when he broke Gordie Howe's record, that eventually he was going to be in the same position, and, hope that he would be as gracious as Gordie Howe was. And I think he's done an excellent job. And it's just been great to see Gretzky, like, in all over the place with hockey, with TNT and that whole crew. It's been great to see him become, like, a bigger part of the game after he kind of went away for a little bit. So just all in all, great weekend for hockey. And while the Bruins kind of suck, it's still great that the league is thriving right now.
Bernie, did I short Ovechkin 100 goals?
He has 895 in 1,487 games, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
I thought you said
Same
895.
amount of games.
Oh, okay.
Same
I
amount of
thought-
games. Yeah.
Okay.
Gretzky broke the
amount of
previous
games.
record in 1487, and Ovi broke 895 in 1487. Same amount of games.
So-
Same amount of games. Okay.
Just one goal.
Insane.
And I think
Still really
something
good. That's crazy.
Wild.
another stat that Gretzky, I don't know if anyone will ever break this, but I think he had 92 goals in a single season in the 80s. I mean, it's a goal scoring league right now, so if anybody's going to do it, it'll probably be kind of within our time frame, but that is another record that is just like, wow, that this puts things into perspective for you a little bit.
The 1981-82 season with the Oilers, he had 92 goals, 120 assists, and 212 points. Wayne Gretzky.
That's why he's the
I think
great one.
That's
better
Oh
than
my
the entire
God.
spring.
Pretty
I don't
remarkable.
even know
It's just
hockey,
God
and that's
season.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
insane.
I mean,
If I could just add actually one thing on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, please do.
Just credit to the Islanders organization. I think they handled that perfectly. Obviously, I'm a Long Island guy, so
Okay.
I was actually looking at going to the game on Sunday, but the cheapest ticket was about $850, and it was in the nosebleeds. So
Could you
fortunately, I
imagine
didn't make
buying
it.
those tickets and like, hey, you
History.
didn't break
That's
it?
history.
Oh, that would have
Yeah,
been.
or
that
imagine
would've
buying
sucked.
them.
That's true.
I was just gonna say, imagine buying them at the beginning of the season, and you're just like, oh, we're gonna go to one of these random games. We're already eliminated from playoff contention.
20 bucks.
The Caps are good this year. The Isles suck. And you end up at the game where Ovechkin sets the record. I mean, imagine that. But I just think the organization handled it perfectly. And credit to Ovi, he's a tremendous player. I think if you want to talk about Mount Rushmores, and I could name it if you want me to, but I do think he is in that category for the sport of hockey and the NHL. So.
One of the best players, and certainly the way that he did it from the patented spot where he scored so many of his goals, the
Did you
left dot.
see? He also thanked the Islanders goalie too. He thanked him for allowing him to score. I
allowing
thought
the
that was
goal.
also amazing.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's
sorry,
funny.
my sniper went past you. Sorry, buddy.
Well,
But
and
thanks.
also,
Thank you.
also,
Here's a
how
Shamu.
crazy would it be if like the Capitals won the cup this year? They're a very good team. They're the best team in the East right now. So it is not, and obviously the Stanley Cup playoffs is a grind. So being the number one seed doesn't mean anything when the Stanley Cup playoffs actually do start. But what a way to maybe cap off a season. And I don't think it will be a career for Ovechkin. I think he's going to continue to play for a little bit. But what a potential story that would be.
Sure would. Gabe, any final Bruins thoughts or hockey thoughts in general?
No, beautifully said about Ovechkin and I mean, not Crosby, Jesus, Gretzky, but just some minor moves that the Bruins made. This will tickle Eric's fancy. They Bruins signed a UMass forward, Don's Lushmelis.
Let's go, you.
To
Let's
a
go,
three-year
UMass!
entry level. He was a former fourth-round pick by the Bruins in 2022. He's
big
from
boy.
Latvia. He helped the Latvian team.
Oh, he could be
secure
friends with
bronze.
Porzingis.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
awesome.
He belongs in Boston. So it's a good signing. This kid had a great year in UMass this past year, and hopefully he'll be able to take that momentum into some development camps and continue his development into maybe a pro. Or that'd be nice if they could get some production from their prospects.
Yeah, would love to see it. They're going to need it, especially with the position that they're in. So the more the merrier from that standpoint. As it currently stands, the Bruins would have the fourth pick in the NHL draft. So, they're going to have an opportunity to draft a player, and really make an impact here, hopefully soon on the team in this upcoming draft. Big offseason for the Bruins.
Big offseason. I would love to see the Bruins get aggressive in this draft. I would even like to see them move up to like a two. It's the second pick and try to get this kid Misa. Misa.
They might get that. They might get that
Misa,
regardless
Misa.
because it's a lottery. So
Yeah,
Like-
it's true. I mean, we don't really know where they are at this point, but if they do kind of land in that 4, 5, 6 area, I would love to see them move up and try to get a premier player who could make an instant impact on ice.
Need it. So a team that's in the thick of their offseason is the New England Patriots, and a team that's brought in some players to help the squad. And full draft preview with Karen Garigian coming up next week, where we'll really dive into who the Patriots are potentially taking a look at, both the names we know and the names that we don't know. So that's going on next week. A few things, nuggets on the Pats that I'll throw out, and we can chime in if we want. So boys are back in terms of conditioning today. I think this team is already more locked in than they were last year based on the 30-second video that came out today.
voluntary workouts.
Voluntary, that's right.
Yeah.
We love them volunteering. And these are probably the two biggest nuggets. First, at the meetings that were down in Florida last week, Kraft announces Parcells is going to be put into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Well deserved. I think he brought them back to relevancy. Obviously, the way that it ended with Parcells was pretty shitty. But Kevin Willard style, if you will, going from Maryland to Nova.
I got a
And
thought on this. I got a quick thought on this before we go on to the next
go
thing.
ahead.
So I think you guys all realize that Robert Kraft is trying to get into the NFL Hall of Fame, and he keeps getting denied. And there was obviously not. It didn't end well with Bill Parcells, and I don't know if you heard Robert after he announced Parcells getting into the Hall of Fame, but he was saying, he wanted to do this while he was still alive and they could still enjoy this together. I think there were some veiled shots at the NFL Hall of Fame about like, hey, look what I'm able to do. I'm ready to put bygones behind myself and put this guy in the Hall of Fame. Maybe the NFL should think about doing the same for another person that's been instrumental in their history. So I do think that there was a little bit of behind the scenes messaging there.
Perhaps. I mean, I do think, I don't know. I mean, if there's an owner that deserves to be in, and like, didn't he? I remember him and Jeff
saved
Saturday
football.
during the lockout, like,
Yeah.
giving each other smooches and
I think that was
exactly what you just
2012.
said.
Was that 2012?
Whenever that lockout was around, then is when that definitely happened. So so credit to Kraft for putting in Parcells, right thing to do. He probably should have been in a while ago, to be honest. And certainly had success with the Pats. But I think the biggest news, we might have buried the lead here, is Joe Milton on the move to Dallas. In an interesting trade where they only get back a 5th-round pick. We had some conversation about it, so let's chime in here on Joe Milton going rather, and coming back a 5th-round pick for the Pats.
Disappointing.
I mean, yeah, it definitely a disappointing return when we were getting fed from the media like, oh, he's getting like offers for 3rd and 4th round picks. This could essentially turn into like a 6th round pick when it's all said and done. So not really, the Patriots weren't looking for value in this trade. I think they were looking more for just getting rid of Joe Milton. I think he could have had an effect on Drake May's development. Not in a negative way yet, but potentially in the future he could have had a negative effect on his development. I think Joe Milton thinks pretty high of himself and that he can be a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. And going to Dallas kind of gives him that chance and that opportunity if Dak Prescott goes down, who he's very susceptible to being injured. To injuries, Joe Milton could be next up and has an opportunity to show his stuff. So while I was very disappointed with the return, I do kind of understand why the Patriots did it. They just wanted to kind of get the locker room in check before, they were on Instagram lifting the weights.
No doubt. On the move, Joe Milton and Josh Dobbs slots in to be the backup quarterback for this team. Off season continues for the Pats. Not too much to touch on the draft, obviously, the next big thing. We'll see if there's other free agency moves or any other big things that go on in the NFL, but right now, a bit of a quiet time.
I'm also interested to see like if any players get traded at the draft as well. Like I think, we're all focused in on, the players that the Pats are going to pick, but I also think that there's some current players on some rosters that we're going to see swap uniforms over that weekend coming up. So very interested about that as well.
Definitely. I think that we'll see some things happening here. Big E, it's time for you to make some things happen here.
Yeah, guys, it's my favorite part of the week. It's the time where we talk about the things that suck, the things that we hate, the things that we don't like, the things that are and we want to talk about the things that we love, the things that are fantastic, the things that we want to scream from the rooftops. Oh yeah! So who wants to kick us off with yeah this week?
Let's do it.
I think we'll kick it off with an "oh yeah" for Nikola Jokic. Earlier in the week, he recorded his 3rd 60-point triple-double in a loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think it went 2 OTs, so plenty of opportunity to kind of build the stats there. But I mean, 3rd 60-point triple-double. That's
insane. Still, I don't care if it was double overtime. And that dude should be MVP. Like I know it's going to go to NBA, but it should be him.
But no, and I actually think Jokic is going to get the MVP, and the reason why I do think he's going to get the MVP is because a lot in this game and age, a lot of things are stat driven, and a lot of the MVPs are big guys. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes.
I think SGA
And,
is going to win because I think they want to give it to someone who's not Jokic. But I think Jokic, by definition, is the most valuable player to his team. I think if SGA went down, Oklahoma City definitely would not be as good.
yeah,
But if Jokic goes down, I don't even know if the Nuggets are a top eight
Yeah,
seed. They're in the play-in.
agreed.
Perhaps they are. Keeping it with the basketball, gotta shout out Maine Celtic legend JD Davidson, G League MVP.
Love it.
MVP. No, I thought we were gonna get that was like as bad as Tom
MVP.
Maybe
Porter.
maybe for Tatum, we'll
MVP.
get one of those
Right?
going.
So,
Yeah.
hopefully.
hopefully. I think one of the best OEAs of the week is there's a new little thing that happens when the Sox hit a home run, isn't there, Samuel?
They put on the Wally head. I love it. I
It's
love the
great.
Wally head. We had the I mean that was all Plawecki was the what's it called? The laundry cart, but
Laundry cart was
this
great.
this Wally head is something else, and the team chemistry with these guys is just it's off the charts, and I love to see it. So, oh yeah, to the new celebration
I
for the
love the
Sox.
Wally
I
head
love
so
it.
much.
Love
Like
it.
It's a
Custom made, custom made.
Devers filled that thing out though. He could barely get
His
it
Yeah,
smile,
on.
he did.
his smile.
His
Got
smile
a
was as
big
big as
dome.
Wally's.
I mean, he's going to give Wally a bigger cheek with the amount of fucking chew he has in. It's next level.
I mean,
Uh,
honestly, it's also one of the coolest things about baseball is like baseball is the only sport that has like this tradition of like the celebrations like this. Yeah, there are cool sellies in other sports, but not team celebrations like this.
I know, like John
and I,
Morant's.
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Speaking of
Oh,
celebrations, I mean,
man.
honestly, whatever. I mean, it's
If he
pish
if he
posh.
wasn't a fucking moron and wasn't on social
Well,
media, would
yeah,
the
I
gods
know.
For
let him
I
do
anyone
it?
but
understand.
him.
It's so
Yeah,
vapid,
like
though. So
you
vapid.
just zero self-awareness whatsoever. Tremendous player, but top Mount Rushmore of dipshits in the NBA. Yeah,
He's gonna
just
have to get
so
a metal
bad.
detector every time he comes through. Up, John, come here. We have to pat you down.
Not good.
Ridiculous.
Not good. The last, oh yeah, Gabe in the hockey world, eh?
Hey,
Hey, we
I'm
hey,
sorry. Okay, I'm
haven't talked
sorry.
much about the Frozen Four, which
I know nothing.
yeah, I mean, so Frozen Four, we have Denver facing Western Michigan, and then we have what I think is the better of the two games. You got Penn State versus Boston University. BU all the way, of course. I think we probably would all feel that way, minus Bernie. Um, Penn State,
I will
though,
say
Penn.
I am rooting for BU, but like Penn State is a really good team too.
So Penn State, they were a club team when I was at URI. They were like a top club team going against URI, and they've taken that. They've they've been accepted into Division One because they were so good at that level, and now they've taken it to another level where they're in the Frozen Four for the first time in their, club's history. So that's a really cool story. I always say this, but I have a lot of family members that went to Penn State, so it's kind of exciting for them as well. They've never really had a rooting interest in men's hockey at this level, so good for Penn State.
Also want to give a shout out to my buddy Santo, who is one of my good friends from down in Jersey, and he has a relationship with a number of players on Penn State. He coached them like he does roller hockey, so coached them in roller
Nice.
hockey and has been going to a bunch of the games. So I'm pulling for BU because of like familiar connection and from being from the city. But I also want to just like give him a shout out because I know that he's a listener of the pod, and he's very, very in tune with Penn State. So, Santo, good luck to you, my friend.
And
Shout
shout
out
out
Santo.
Judy,
Go Terriers,
BU,
though.
BU
Sorry.
alum.
That's right. Shout out to Judy.
BU alum here, baby. I'm at a little grad school at BU. Go Terriers. Let's go.
Hey,
Get
and
get
maybe
that
announce
shit.
some games for them here and there too.
Hockey, I don't know, but
No.
I think.
I'm just talking about the university, not the hockey
Oh
games.
yeah, no, we still are affiliated. Before we hit the pike, we're going to take a rush hour down to New York, where Bernie is going to give us a little rush hour New York minute in terms of things that might be going on in New York, but anything else, sort of national news that we may have not touched on. And then we'll wrap things up with the Pike. Bernie, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, you guys touched on pretty much everything. I can chime in on it. Oh yeah, I think just coming off a great sports weekend. You guys touched on the Final Four. I was rooting for UConn. I was pulling for them in the national championship. That was a tremendous run for Geno and Paige buckets and that whole squad. They hadn't won in 9 years, so for them to kind of be back now on the map, if you will, in a sport that had been dominated by South Carolina was awesome. I'm really looking forward to this game tonight. Like I said earlier in the pod, I'm pulling for the Gators, but Houston is one of the best defensive teams in all of college basketball in the nation. So we're in for a good matchup, fellas. Other than that, I think it was just a great sports weekend all around. Alexander Ovechkin is really the highlight. Again, to be just miles down the road from history like that and to hear about that as soon as it broke and to be watching the game. Of course, the Islanders actually won that game, which is crazy because they're already eliminated from playoff contention and they hadn't won a game in what feels like forever. But of course, they have to spoil the Capitals party. I think that was just an all-around great day for the sport of hockey and just sports in general to see Ovechkin break that, for Gretzky to be in the building. Other than that, like I said, Jalen Brunson's back. The New York Knicks are getting ready to play your guys' Celtics tomorrow, and they're looking to make a run. Right now, they're in the 3 seed, so we'll see what happens there. I think they'll match up against the Milwaukee Bucks. I'd rather, as a fan of them, have them play the Bucks over the Pistons. I think the Pistons have been on a really good run. They just clinched this past weekend as well. The Bucks, of course, without Damian Lillard, it's unfortunate news. He's dealing with, I believe, blood clots similar to the Wembanyama injury. So unfortunate news there for Milwaukee, but if they can get him back for the playoffs, we'll see. Other than that, my Yankees, they're coming off a series win. A series loss, I should say.
Right.
And then they go to the Detroit this week, and they lost in the snow today. So they're 6-4. I think they're still. I'm not looking at the standings right now, but yeah, we're tied.
Depends on
those goddamn snow. Those goddamn snow games.
I guess the torpedo bats don't work in the snow, so we'll have to try something
Bregman
out.
bombed one off at once, so I'll take the torpedo bat any day.
Last week it didn't look like the Red Sox were hitting shit, so now they're hitting the ball. I think it's good for the sport. And other than that, I mean, we just need the weather to get a little bit better here in the Northeast. And I think, like I said, things are looking up. Football, the NFL draft is in 2 weeks. I'm excited to see what our teams do. My team, obviously, having the 3rd pick, which scares the shit out of me.
Pick that quarterback. Take that quarterback for
us.
It scares the shit out of me. We'll see what they do. They had a breakfast meeting with Abdul Carter, the Penn State edge rusher.
No, don't take him. We want him.
Fucking
This past week, I like Travis Hunter. I mean,
don't take him. We want him too.
We'll see what Joe Shane, Brian Dable, and the gurus in the Rutherford New York Football Giants front office do come April. I believe it's the 24th down in Green Bay. So that's it for me.
All right, Bernie, appreciate it. Rush hour. We're gonna jump up all the streets back onto the pipe and take this baby home. Where Celtics couple games to wrap up the season, as we know, against the Knicks tomorrow, and Magic and a back-to-back versus the Hornets at the end of the week. Then the Bruins take on the Devils, Blackhawks, and Penguins. Not that we care. And then the Sox take on the Blue Jays, White Sox, and Rays in series. Loss. 3 point. Yeah, Swayman has made .930 save percentage, but he still has a 3.5 goals against average. Because
exactly.
Like, the fuck out of here. He's fucking sucks.
Bernie, we have in Boston, we call Celtics fans that just like don't see reality of the team. They're just like the greatest thing since sliced bread, no matter what. They're green teamers. Yale, Gail, definitely a yellow teamer. She is blinded by the black and gold, and it's okay. It's okay. It's good to be a big fan, but you
gotta be a realistic sports fan.
Shout out to Gail for coming on.
You got to be critical of your team as well in times of
the sports fans that get on their team for not winning and for the mistakes on and off the ice or off the field. Those are the fans that we need to hear more of, because otherwise changes aren't going to be made.
That's right.
Yeah, so True. That's right. We forced John Henry to open up his wallet. So
we did.
He's a listener of the show. He listens.
He's listening.
We took away his ice cream machine for a while. He was in the penalty box, which penalty box is not really something that comes around here that often anymore. And we also threatened a sit-in on Jersey Street, which I'm thankful we didn't have to do.
did. We had all of our battle plans prepared, and we
Yeah.
eventually drew a ceasefire. So
I'll
We
put out a
didn't have
bet
the
that
we
he'll
didn't have the legal fees covered, unfortunately.
no. All
I'll
right.
put out a
Well, we're
bet
gonna
signal for John Henry to come on the show. He's a friend of the program, so we'll get him on.
all right,
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
right.
That's right. That's right. Bernie can pull some levers and do some things that we may not be able to do ourselves. So with that being said, near, far, wherever you are, it's always great to be with you fellas. It's always
Erev
great to talk to the people.
Tov.
See you
Everyone
guys.
take care. We'll see you next time.
Adios.
Peace.